Hello, 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 and happy Monday to you, and you. Hope you're having yourself a great day. It's about that time to learn how to get that pay. Oh, what's up, Casey? I see you. I see you. So tonight we got a good video, a good stream for you. We're going to be bringing on one of the heavy hitters in the real estate industry. But before we get started, I want to give everybody a shout out. Put your name in and where you're coming in from. We'll give you a shout out before we get started with the show. Plus a couple of quick announcements. Coming up here, we just booked this coming up for March the 2nd. We'll be on with Byron Holman. Gonna be talking about the paperwork makes the paperwork. That's on March 2nd, 7 o'clock Central Time, right here on the same stream we're watching right now. We're gonna check that out. And then also coming up next week, which is Monday, February 10th, father and son killing the real estate game, Terrell and Alex Spruill. They're doing multiple deals. Father and son dream team getting checks. I had to blur it out, or they blurred out their checks that they didn't want to see how much money they made. But nevertheless, we're going to have them on coming up next Monday night. And so, like I said, for tonight, we'll be on with Rick Jarman, real estate old school, talking about how you can last long as a real estate investor. He's been in the game quite a while, and we'll get his story as well. We're going to check that out coming up here live tonight. So let me see here. Take that off. Let's see who we got up in here before we get it going. What up? What up? What up? United with Trump. I see you over here on Periscope, New York, representing. All right, Terrence. I see you in Omaha, Nebraska, worldwide. All right, all right. Who we got here? Mara in Orlando. I guess that's Orlando, Florida. Thank you for joining in. And if this video gives you any type of good content, anything that you learn or anything, give it a like, give it a share. Give it a thumbs up if you care. But it's about that time, everybody. We gotta get it popping.
And we have Mr. I Stay Woke. And Mr. I Stay
Woke. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? This is the student master teacher, Mr. I Stay Woke, Chris Monroe, and I'm right back at you with another real estate video. We're streaming live in multiple places tonight. We're live on Periscope at Chris Monroe Show. Had to make a new handle just for that. Streaming live on the YouTube channel at Chris Monroe STL. We got a few people over here watching on Instagram. Like I said, if you're watching on IG, jump on over and catch one of these other streams for the full experience. If you want to see everything, feel everything, be a part of the full thing here. And also we're streaming on the Chris Monroe Show page on Facebook as well as my personal Facebook page. We got some a good show for you lined up for you tonight. I see you, John. Welcome, welcome. I see everybody just jumping in. What's up? What's up with the Nuggets from Milwaukee? D. Howard. You know we bringing some Nuggets. So I'm going to bring in, let's see here. What's going on, Chris? You're in Vegas. All right. I love Vegas when I was out there. I won some money too. Don't tell nobody. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I was down to $36 playing no limit Texas Hold'em, right? And guess how much I ended up cashing out after going down to $36? Over $3,000. I don't know how it happened. Maybe I got on a lucky streak, but I beat them down playing some poker. But without further ado, I'm going to bring in Mr. Rick Jarman. How you doing, Rick?
I'm good, Chris. How you doing, buddy?
Good to see you. I see everybody's tuned in live here. Where are you coming in from, Rick?
I'm out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Oh, wow. That's like what they would call a mid-size or smaller size market?
Well, the whole county has a little over 200,000 people.
Oh, okay. So you probably dominate that, huh?
A lot of them are students. We're the University of Alabama's here in Tuscaloosa. So that's, we probably got 40,000 students or so. But
oh, wow.
Still been able to make a living at a long time.
I know that's right.
One question for you, though, buddy. You said a heavy hitter. Now, was you talking about my real estate or my weight?
Uh-oh. Whoa, you never know. Say be both. Why not, right? Say a heavy hitter, a heavy eater.
Oh.
I understand. But for people who may not know, Rick, give a little bit of background, how you got into real estate, how long you've been in it, and what do you do?
Well, it's all I've ever done. I started doing construction work between my 11th and 12th grade of high school, realized that's what I want to do the rest of my life. And pretty much that's all I've ever done. I started out right out of high school working as a laborer on a union construction job, got in the carpenter's apprentice, become a carpenter, went to work for about 10 years in maintenance at the university. The whole time I was doing remodeling and buying houses and flipping and everything. And in 1984, I graduated high school in 73. So by 1984, I went full time in this business, building houses, remodeling, flipping, buying rentals, whatever it took to keep making a living all these years.
Oh, wow. So you've seen all types of up, downs, and all arounds in this market, huh?
Through several recessions, a lot of things, you know, and I saw in your intro talking about not being a quitter. That's, you know, that's what it takes for longevity in this business. You can't be a quitter. I tell folks I've been married this coming June to be 47 years. I got married at 18, so I'm not a quitter or anything.
Wow, 47 years. I can't get 47 days right. Wow. So does she help you in your real estate stuff, or she just kind of watch you?
No. She was a school teacher for 25 years and retired, I guess, about 2002 or 3, somewhere along there. She came and worked with me for about a week, and I sent her home. I said, just make my life easier at home, and I'll handle this. And it just didn't work, because she's always been real supportive and never questioned anything. But as far as working together, you know, she'd say, well, why are you doing it this way? Why you do, you know, just do it, you know. So it wouldn't been good for my marriage. So I just sent her on home. And she liked that, because that's, you know, she just takes care of the grandkids, that kind of stuff.
I know that's right, because you get the wrong one in there, they start asking. You don't want that.
You got to move fast, and you can't be stopping answering questions.
I know that's right. So you say you started real estate in what year now?
I went full time in 1984. I did construction and, you know, buying and flipping everything on the side. But by 1984, I started my full-time career as a home builder. And actually, I got licensed as a real estate agent in 1983, did it part-time for a year. 84, I went to work full-time. I was selling for somebody else and building for myself. In Alabama, you had to sell for 2 years full-time to get your broker license. So I got my broker license in 1986. And, you know, I've always did the building for myself since 84 and in the real estate since 1986.
Wow. So you got over 36 plus years of experience in real estate. Good night. Yep. Wow. So has things changed, I guess, a lot, right?
Man, I actually, you know, I'm on Instagram, and I know you'll tell folks, but it's real estate old school. It's real hard. That's everything I got's called that. I did a video called Some Old School Real Estate. And, you know, I caught the tail end of computers were just getting ready to come out. You know, people wasn't using them that much in their office or whatever, but I was showing them how you used to, you know, when you buy a piece of property, nowadays they ask you, do you want title insurance or or owner's and mortgage title? Back then you could just get what they called a title opinion. And what you would get would be an abstract of title, and it would show a house from the time it was built, all the owners. And I showed a couple of those in my video, one of them back to like 1900 and something, like early 1900s, and one like 1940 something. And when I first started buying rentals, you know, you would get a little payment book, and you'd go down to the bank, like if it's owner financing, and you know, you go down and get your little bookmark, and they'd stamp your book. And the MLS, you know, everybody talks about the MLS. We were real excited when it started coming out twice a month. It was a book.
Oh, so this was the original of the MLS.
Yeah, it was in the book form then, you know. So
wow.
And when you listed a piece of property, you know, like say you're going to list somebody's property, well, you might ask them, say, could I borrow your deed and go make a copy of it? Or if they wouldn't do that, you had to go to the courthouse, go and look in records and pull their deed up and pay for a copy. It's so much easier now with everything, you know, online, and it's just a different world.
It's a whole nother world. And so I know a lot of people that are, you know, maybe a little older in age feel like this technology is too much. How do they, how would somebody that's like feel like this technology and YouTube and Instagram is all too much. How would you tell them some advice to kind of overcome that fear?
I tell folks I'll be 65 in May, and I got a lot of friends still use dead gun flip phones, and they might do a little Facebook, but I've tried to get them to get on Instagram, and follow me, and it's like pulling teeth out of a chicken, boy. You just can't get them to do it, But you just got to jump in there, and you got to keep changing with the times, When I got on Instagram, I knew nothing about it, and everything I learned, I went on YouTube, and I've got a 15-year-old granddaughter. Of course, she would have been 14 at the time. She could have showed me half this stuff, probably real easy, but she wouldn't slow down, take the time, so I had to dig it out. But it's, it's been fun. A lot of people ask me, so what books you read? Well, for the past year, I've been reading YouTube, learning this stuff,
That's
like I told you, I did a Zoom, I did a couple Skypes, and now I'm live on YouTube, You might be able to ask me something, you better tell me nothing.
That's right. You stepping it all the way up now. They done messed up. They say, I can do what? Click a button and I'm there? Wow.
Well, I was getting a little nervous a while ago because I was hoping I'd get everything on here right. And my wife said, well, don't be nervous. I said, I ain't nervous about the real estate. I'm nervous about getting this thing up and running right. Mm-hmm. But hey, we're here,
No, that's right. And so for the people that's watching over here live, if you do have any questions about anything that we're talking about or anything you may want to know about, put it in the comments. We'll definitely try to get to it before we end the stream here. And so so you say you have about how many rentals? Is it 100 plus?
I have almost 125. Depends on what day of the week it is. Sometimes we'll sell something, keep it, and add to it or whatever. We run over 100 all the time.
Okay, so what would be a good reason to want to sell a property? I know people say, get real estate, just keep buying it. What would be a good time to want to sell it?
Well, sometimes you get a piece, like sometimes I buy a piece of property. We flip some. Now, I quit building in 2015 when I turned 60. I'd built about 500 houses and 31 years of doing that. It's really a stressful business. And to me, flipping's like being on vacation. I mean, I love it. And it's just not near the stress. And I've got my son works with me. In May, he'll be with me 20 years, so he and I own 26 houses together. And, it's just, I sell one every now and then, just if it gets to be too valuable for the type rental I like. Yeah, excuse me, I've got a cough drop in my mouth. I've been a little allergy this week and I don't want to lose my voice. But I don't do student rentals. I'm in a town that is student rentals, and I pretty much sold all my student rentals off. But the kind of houses I do a lot of Section 8, which I really, I'm big on that. People think slum lower and stuff like that. No, I mean, I got houses $100,000 that are Section 8, that I rent. But I didn't pay that for them, but that's what they're worth now. But sometimes in some areas, they get so valuable that it doesn't pay, to keep them and sell them. Then I'll just buy another one, do a 1031, tax-free exchange. And so every now and then I'll sell one off. Not often. I'm in for the long haul mostly, though. But I buy some things, like I said, that don't fit my criteria of what I want to keep. So I will, flip one of them.
So you said you don't do the student housing or the student apartment rentals. Why not? What's wrong with that?
Well, it's just me, like I told you, I worked at the University of Alabama for 10 years in maintenance, 1974, 1984, when I went full time. Well, I was in housing, nothing but the students, the dorms and rental properties, never set foot in a classroom. And I had all of them I wanted then, but it's just a different, I like the setup I like the checks coming in, a good bit of them from the government. Getting your Section 8 checks. And students, it's just, you got a big turnover, and it's just totally two different animals to try to see. We do our own property management too. Right. And just two different animals, to try to do them both. It just didn't work good.
So you created a property management company just for property management for yourself or for others as well?
No, I don't do anybody else's. Now, there was a time in the 90s, it's probably about 1993. somewhere along there, I was fourth owner of a Coldwell Banker franchise, and I created a property management company that managed about 300 units. Some of them were mine, some were other people's. But I get people ask me all the time, but I don't want to have to be responsible for nobody but my own stuff. That way, if I make a mistake, nobody to blame.
I know that's right. And so over the years, I know you made plenty of mistakes. What are some mistakes that you could say you've made that's over time that that you'll never make again?
Okay, well, hopefully never. In the late 90s, I got in, just like President Trump and a lot of other people got in some, trouble when the market changed. And so I learned a lot of lessons then. So when 2008 hit, I was sitting, good. I mean, we wasn't building any houses. We were just maintaining. I wouldn't say we were making money, but, our rentals are what pulled us through and saved us. Here in my town, probably maybe all the builders, but maybe 6 or 7 were put out of business, because it's kind of funny in the building business, the banks, they only going to loan you so much. So you're either going to buy houses for rentals or you're going to be building. So you had to diversify and deal with a lot of different banks. But during the recession 2008, man, they just, they quit loaning, and it was kind of interesting times. But like I said, we were fortunate enough to be able to pull back and live off of rentals.
That makes sense. So it really didn't hurt you, because I know a lot of people that went through the 2008 recession actually made money. Like they got more. I mean, they got rich.
I tell folks after the recession, now I had to battle with some banks for a little while because I had just bought $1.4 million of lots to build them. Because since 1998, I hadn't built what you'd call a custom house on somebody else's land. We'd go in, buy the lots, be our plan. We'd pick the plan, build the house. If somebody come along and wanted to buy it during the construction period, they could pick their colors and whatever. So I just bought a third phase of a neighborhood I had been building in for several years, and banks quit loaning money. So we had to ride that out. But after that was over with, I was fortunate. I had a private money lender I was dealing with, and I was able to buy some deals, stuff that wouldn't necessarily fit my criteria to keep, but when the market turned, I knew I could sell them. So I was able to increase my net worth by about $2 million right after the recession. So
just for them making a mistake, made you more money.
Yep. Well, and I tell people about the rental business. If you get to high dollar rentals and something happens, and like it was then where people were losing their jobs and, upper end jobs, I don't know what you want to call it, but not your typical working person. Well, they had to scale down. But if you had working class rentals and upper, lower stuff, like I'm talking about Section 8 and the working man, you're not going to, they're going to keep renting. Like I always say, people are going to either rent or buy or live under the bridge, and only so many can live under the bridge. Everybody had to live somewhere, even during the recession. If you had the right kind of rentals, you could keep them renting.
Yeah, because from what I understand, during that recession, that basically the rents went up because they needed more people to go rent.
Well, I think some places maybe the rents went up. I think a lot of it, people were just glad to be getting their rent and keep it coming, and people with their jobs. But it probably, mine just went up normal because, like I said, the type of property I'm in, it just went up just like it normally would.
Okay. And so do you prefer like the single families, the duplexes, or the 4 families, or more doors than that 5+ units? What do you prefer?
Since I've been on Instagram, I tell folks I call single family 10 units and down now, because, when I think of multifamily, like here in my town, we're talking 50, 100, 200 units, So I prefer single family. I always have. I've had a 16 unit complex before, and a 10 unit and a 5-plex. But I got rid of all that over the years. I didn't like the idea of being a grown-up daycare. A lot of times that's what you get involved when there are that many people in your building. So I have single family. I've got some duplexes, and I got a couple, commercial buildings too. And I deal with, I buy and flip land too. I buy land that I think I can get rezoned from maybe one zone and get it commercial and, sell it. But our main thing is single family. I mean, it just went along with what we were doing, being in construction, and it worked for us. We just liked it.
And I get this question a lot of times. I know you just mentioned something about buying land to develop and things like that. What kind of numbers are you come up with to figure out what you're going to pay for some land?
Well, I hadn't developed any since the late 90s. You know, I've developed a few subdivisions, whatever, or phases of a subdivision. And that's been so long ago, I'm kind of out of touch. And what I do is I'll find a piece of land that, to give you a good example, I bought a piece of land the other day that actually back in the late 80s, I bought it. Me and the guy owned it, and he and I went in together and had it rezoned for residential. It was like manufacturing. But where it was, nobody was, go do any manufacturing. Well, then something changed in the market. I think it was one of the recessions that came in the 80s, and he just didn't want to ride out, so we split ways. He paid me what I had in it and moved on. Well, fast forward it to about 2 years ago, the land's still sitting there. So I'm thinking, I had a guy that was looking for some land for a commercial building, and he said it wasn't big enough for him, but it got me to thinking about it. I said, well, I might ought to just buy this myself. So I went to the guy, because I knew him, and approached him, and I bought it, and it was zoned residential, of course, because we'd had it rezoned back in the 80s. So I thought, man, I'll be able to get it back manufacturing. But it took me about a year and a half through the city of Northport, and I got it rezoned to commercial. I couldn't get manufacturing, but, I paid like $30. The deal I told the guy was, I said, look, he hadn't been getting anything on his land, just been sitting there. So he had already told me what he would sell it for, and the price he said was $37,000. So I said, okay, I'll give you $37,000. You finance it 100%, interest only for 24 months. And he agreed to it because he didn't have anything coming in. Now he got some money coming in. So I had to actually go back to him and get him extended, or I'd have had to pay it off because it took me a little longer to get it through the city of Northport. So now we got it on the market at $129,900, and we got a little over 40 something in it with the interest and stuff. So
you
now sell it.
Talk now. He's talking some creative real estate. I heard you say something about seller financing, interest only 2 years on a balloon payment and all this. You talking about talk now?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, like I told you, I did it all but wholesaling. Don't ask me nothing about wholesaling. I never did that. Now I bought stuff from wholesalers, or back when we used to call it, that's a term I've learned since I've been on Instagram, wholesaling. We used just somebody to get something under contract, want to sign it to you, because back then you'd write your contracts as your name or as a sign,
So what did they call it back then before it was known as wholesaling?
Just to sign the contract. They'd get something under contract. So that's been something I've had to learn, and I did a couple of videos about it. Is all these abbreviations and stuff, for everything. And I'm thinking, hell, I don't know what all I had to figure it all out, I had a guy sent me one other day. He said HOS, and I sent him a message back. He DM. I said, man, I'm sorry, what is a HOS? He says, I meant HOA, Homeowners Association. I didn't have a clue what he was, but I mean, it's been like that. I mean, I told him about the first time somebody said PDF, and I said, don't you PDF me.
Don't you dare PDF me. None of that.
I don't know about all this DM you, buddy,
Wow.
I've had to learn a lot of stuff, man, on here, but I tell you, I've been accepted by the Instagram community. It's kind of strange. My following are ages 24 to 35. And, when I started, I was 60. Let's say I'll be 65. So I hadn't been on a year, so I was 64. And it's been a good ride. I've really enjoyed it. Gives me something to do. And, not one time I tell them any of my videos, if I try to sell them anything or want anything, I'm just having a good time sharing
and helping people out. That's right.
That's right. Yeah. And, I've been able to build my Instagram following up to almost, I already hit 6,300 by this weekend.
Wow.
And, I think that's pretty good for old gray-headed fat man, just.
What do you
I try to put a video out every day, just about. I very seldom miss putting one out.
Oh, okay. So you put out you do a lot of live streaming on there.
Yeah, I just record them and upload them. I just do videos, just talking about things or whatever.
And they just coming in like, oh man, I like this guy. He's talking my talk.
Well, I try to throw them a lot of knowledge out there, and I try to keep it entertaining also.
Right. I know that's right. Education and entertainment mixed together equals success.
There we go. There we go.
There
But
we
I'm
go.
actually getting ready to do my first. I don't know if you're familiar with Fox, the original real estate baller on Instagram. He's in New York. And New York is my largest following. Go figure, man. I mean, and LA is the next one, but he's going to bring me out there in April the 18th. And I told him I didn't want to do like your typical seminar. I said I wanted something intimate. And we finally going to stretch it out to 40 people. That's going to be the maximum. And I'm just going to spend a day with folks and just try to fill the heads with everything I can, and hope we're gonna make a little money too. I mean, I am a businessman, but I ain't tried to sell them nothing on here, but that ain't gonna be free there.
There you go. Ain't nothing wrong with it. I mean, so is that going to be your first live presentation, or have you?
That'll be my first live. Now I've had things. I'm not crowds. For years I played music too. So I like crowd. I'm like, you can pat me on the back and lead me off a cliff. The more you clap, the harder I work. So I like a crowd, and I've had situations. I was president of my Home Builders Association in 2009. Think about that. That's the worst year you could be president, right in the middle of the recession. And a lot of people always worry about standing up there in front of folks, but it didn't bother me.
I know that's right. Let's see here. Look like we got a couple of people asking some questions over here. They asked, how did you start off your first rental? Was it from the construction something or something?
No, I actually bought my first rental in 1981. So what would I be? I was 18 when I come out of high school in 73. So not by 1981. So we're talking 8 years later. So what's that, 26? As a guy I was working with at the university was going through a divorce. And he had a house for sale. And at this time, the house was worth about $20,000, and he was going to sell it for 10, just what he owed. So now I didn't, I'm broke as a church house mouse. I mean, I got my job and I work side jobs, but I got one child and one on the way or whatever. Excuse me. And so I go to my credit union. I show them the deal on the house, and they say, well, that's a good deal. We'll finance that for you 100%. But you're going to have the fix-up money. So I had a real nice Ford Ranger XLT truck, and I said, well, I'll sell this truck because they ain't going to quit making trucks. But this is a good deal. So I sold my truck. I went and found a 1969 Plymouth station wagon that had a tailgate that folded down, like a truck's tailgate, and I knew I could work out of it. And they were asking $600, and it had a loan value of $1,200. So I got the credit union to loan me $1,200 on it. So that gave me $600 plus the money out of mine. So I bought that house, fixed it up with that money, and started renting it. That was the first one.
Wow. So you came in from the beginning, getting creative right off.
Oh, yeah, man. And that same house, I bet I refinanced it 3 times over the years. Because, you got to remember when you refinance a piece of rental property and you cash out your equity and you keep it cash flowing, that's borrowed money. You don't pay no taxes on borrowed money.
That's right. You got to get that debt because they can't pay no tax on it.
That's it. I did one the other day. Matter of fact, I call it the Burr method on overdrive. They talk about the Burr method. I said, heck, I've been doing that ever since I bought my first house at 21 and fixed it up and flipped it. And my wife and I moved in it and remodeled it ourselves. But I had 2 houses and 2 duplexes that I only owed like $91,000 on. They were kicking off about 6,000 positive cash flow a month. So I went in and refinanced them, kept it where they still cash flow. They're still generating about $2,500 a month still in positive cash flow. And wait a minute, did I say 6,000? Well, it was 4,000 positive cash flow. Now they're still generating 2,000, and I cashed out $168,000. That was just here not long ago. But see, a lot of my stuff is either paid for or way down, and just sometimes, you want to, I try not to use the banks as much anymore. I might still have to use them some, but I do all the fix up out of pocket and, just that kind of stuff.
And so I heard you say something too in your story about your very first deal. It sounded like you made a huge sacrifice to just say, I'm going to do something with this truck to get creative, to come up with the money to make this deal happen. What do you think people need to get creative like that?
And I assumed an FHA loan on that first house. See, back in the day, an FHA loan or a VA loan were fully assumable. There was two qualifications. You had to have a $45 transfer fee. And if they held a mirror under your nose and you were breathing, you qualified. Now, you had to have the money for the equity. But what I did, I got a second mortgage from an individual at a high interest rate. They were usury laws, but I didn't know nothing about any usury laws back then. I just was glad to borrow the money. And my second mortgage payment was probably almost as high as the first. But I bought the house, fixed it up, sold it, found another house, went back to the same man. I found another FHA to assume. I said, would you be interested in doing it again? He said, well, you paid me the first time. I don't see why not. So first two houses, we did like that, and we'd fix them up ourselves, paint them up, move in. With the third house, I assumed a VA loan. And these are my personal residents, And I did all three of them. We moved to 3 times in 2 years. So from 21 to 23, I done moved up from about a 700 square foot house, that's 40 years old, built after World War II, to a 3-bedroom, 2-bath brick house, about 1,800 square feet on an acre of land. And by the third one, I paid the second mortgage off, had money to pay down on it, about $8,000 left over. And I'm thinking, this might work out.
Say, this stuff kind of work a little bit.
But in my days, it was always about being the creative part, especially if you didn't, have a lot of money. I'm raising kids. And I was just up to 84. I was just working a regular old job as a maintenance man,
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you this, and I don't mean it like a brag. This business is something that can take you from, I come up as poor can be. My first job where they cut your taxes, my summer job, I was 14. I worked for the city of Northport on a garbage truck. Worked my way up to the brush truck, which was improvement, And my dad got disabled when I was 3 years old. He was a World War II veteran, and he was in the VA until I was 15. Well, I got married at 18, so my dad was more like a big brother. So I didn't come from money. And in fact, I didn't know this till about 2 years ago. I got a brother 6 years older than me. He was telling me that for about a year we were homeless, that my mama, she and I lived with one of her sisters, and he lived with another sister. Because back in them days, the wife didn't work, and my mom didn't have a job, didn't have a driver license, and daddy got sick. I guess I don't know if they sold the house or lost it, the car. So when she got on her feet, I look back now and I know why she worked so hard to keep a roof over our head. And she always instilled in me and my brother, say, you don't want to rent houses, you want to own your own house. So that was
people in the back.
But don't get me wrong, I like renters. I like them a lot.
I love them too. No. How much you pay, I'm good with you.
But what I was going to say, like I said, I don't want this to mean like a brag or nothing, but I live here in Tuscaloosa, and the neighborhood I live in, if you're familiar with college football, well, Coach Saban lives 3 houses up from me. So, he's the head coach of the football team here. And I told my wife, I said, when we moved here almost 6 years ago, I said, they got doctors and lawyers and football coaches. I said, now they got a redneck living in here.
So you done moved up in the game.
But that's what it can do for you.
So real estate is truly life-changing. I keep telling people that, and they're like, oh, well, I got to do this. I'm like, man, you need to stay up late, get up early, do whatever it takes, pawn that gold jewelry or whatever you need to do to get you some real estate, because the stuff it's just life-changing. What they say, most millionaires have real estate or something like that, or whatever the same.
Yeah, that's it. More millionaires have been made out of real estate than anything else. And, when I first got into it, I was working at the university when I bought my first rental house, my second house, third, a few others. I would hear stuff like, what you going to do if they all get empty? I'm thinking, if they all get empty at this time, I'm thinking we're going to be in worse trouble than just me worrying about empty houses, because it's like most places, if you got the right house, it's going to stay rented. If you do what you're supposed to do, and I know there's parts of the country, even during the recession, that it changed. But, even the banks, they didn't call and say, hey, we want your rental property. They wanted that money coming in. The banks were in damage control during the recession. They were trying to keep the doors open and, keep them being taken over by the feds. Because what would happen, just like me, when I had those lots, we paid like $40-something thousand a lot. When the recession hit, the value went down. Well, like the banks, every dollar they loan, they had to keep so many dollars in reserve. And so if they loaned out, say, $1 million, and all of a sudden it's only worth 700, they got to get that money in. Well, where do they get it? They can't get it from people that's paid. They're not paying, so they go after people that's paying. Get them to pay down their loans, to rework it. In other words, they can't come in during the middle of your terms, but when your term's up, they can say, hey, we're not going to renew it, or you need to take it somewhere else. Like, where are you going to take it? So then that leads to some trouble. But you didn't have that problem with the rental houses. I mean, they were making money. The banks was happy. Everybody was happy.
So did you also get into some of that fix and flip stuff, or everything you bought, you tried to just keep it most of the time?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say over the years, you do what you got to do. I mean, this has been my living. If I wasn't building houses, I'd be remodeling. I used to take houses in on trade. That's something I never hear anybody talk about.
On trade?
I actually did a video about that. And what you do, the way I would structure it, say you got a house that you want to sell and you want to buy my new house. Well, I say, okay, Chris, here's what I do. I'll buy your house for X amount of dollars. Your wife don't want to move twice and, all these things. So I would kind of like trading cars. You'd get it down to where you're getting it about 70% of what the value is. And they're paying you full price for your house that you're selling, the new one. So then I'd have my contracts. I'd do 2 separate contracts. One contract contingent on the other one, fulfilling what they're supposed to do, and then vice versa. So if you didn't buy mine, I didn't buy yours. So when it closed, it's 2 separate contracts. And a lot of times I'd have it in 2 different companies, not my construction company, but a company I'm keeping the house in. So when I go to the bank and it closes, the bank, the one I built, when it sells, I'm getting my full price. So I'm getting most of my profit. Well, then the one I'm buying from you, I look and see how I work up my repairs, and the bank's going to loan me. Back then, they'd loan you 80% appraisal. Nowadays you might get 80% of fixed up value and cost, So I would get most of my money when I sold the house, but then I'd still be getting a piece of rental property.
So you talking about the real definition of a double close?
It's like a double closing, and it's a trade, So you don't have to move twice. Your wife's happy. You don't have to fix your house up. I'm going to fix it up, and you're going to have a new house.
So you sound like you've done so much stuff in this real estate. Where did you learn all this stuff, Rick?
Just reading and just doing and learning. Like somewhere I read the other day on Facebook, on Instagram, it says, you get it. Well, how to go? Something like, to keep from making mistakes, whatever. You get experience. How do you get experience from making mistakes? That's kind of thing. It's just doing it for so long, and you just got to do what you got to do. When everybody else is just trying to do the straight, normal stuff, and the market's not good, you got to keep paying them bills, feeding your kids, and keep a roof over your house. So you just get creative.
That's right. Getting creative. That's the world I love. It's no reason not to, say I can't get into this game. People don't even know you can do this stuff just from learning how to do it and getting the paperwork right. It's really something.
When I left the university, I quit 2 jobs in one day. Actually, I'd been there for 10 years in maintenance, and I'd been selling real estate part-time for a year. Well, I was selling enough real estate, I was making as much as I would, because I was only making $8 and something an hour. Back then, that was just, it'd be equivalent to maybe $20 an hour today. So it wasn't no high paying job. It was a good job, good benefits, but you can't eat those benefits. So I knew I was making enough selling. Same thing I was making there, I knew I could live on it. And then when I started building, I mean, I told my wife, I remember one month I turned around there, I said, God, I said, I done made as much this month I'd have made the whole year at the university.
Exactly. One deal can make your whole yearly income. That's crazy.
You know, people just, but you know, it's not for everybody. Everybody's not meant to be an entrepreneur. Everybody's not meant to be in this business. And you have to realize that. I know you I can tell you're always enthusiastic. I try to tune in your lives during the week when I'm running down the road or at my desk, you know, and you're always upbeat and excited about it. When I first got in it and was buying my first rental property, I mean, I'd buy stuff. I don't even like to get in it today, you know, what talk about no money down, but I probably hit on one or two cases recently. And people think you can't buy no money down. You can. Not all the time, but the right situation.
Yeah.
Well, back when I was starting, you know, I called it the miracle of real estate. I want to tell everybody about it. I'm thinking, why can't they see this, you know? And finally, you just get to where, well, hell, they don't care nothing about it. You just quit telling, you know? So when I got on Instagram, you know, kind of a quick story, if you got time, you tell me what you want to talk about, what I need to be talking about, because I ain't rattle here all night. My son introduced me to the Bigger Pockets podcast, my son, Jacob Jarman. And this was about 2 years ago. I didn't know what a podcast was. And he said, listen. So I got to listen. I said, you know, I kind of like that. I said, I believe I'd like to be on that show. I didn't have enough sense. No, you know, I'm just thinking, because I was hearing people did a deal or two and they was an expert. So I stayed up one night writing me well, I had to find out first, how would you go about getting on there? Well, I got to thinking, I said, well, that David Green's a real estate agent. His number's going to be somewhere.
Somewhere.
So I got on, you know, on the internet and found his number, tried calling him. Of course, his box would be full, or, you know, his voicemail. So I sent him a couple of emails and never heard anything. So finally, after about 3 or 4 emails, he sent a thing to me, tell me how you go on their website and you fill out this paperwork or fill out the form. So I stayed up one night, 1 o'clock, filling it out. And I tell folks I can add like hell, but I can't spell. You know, I can't spell, but I can add like hell.
You know them numbers.
I'm trying to get this thing done, and I lose it. I don't know if it went through or not. So next day I get up, I do another one. So I sent it, and I said, now look, you may have got one last night, or you may get this one. I said, look at them both, whichever one you like best, go with it. But I never heard nothing. Then somebody said, well, you got to be involved in their form. And I'm thinking, what the hell is a form? But I mean, I knew what a form was, but I'm thinking, well, to this day, I hadn't did it, you know, on the form. So I said, well, by golly, I'll just start my own podcast. So I got on YouTube and I read all about it. I think the guy's named Pat Flynn or somebody telling you how to do it, you know, and I ordered me a mic, got on GarageBand, and had somebody supposed to do me a website. I went through about 2 people, and I got aggravated. I said, it's just too much work. I ain't doing this. So I said, I'll start a YouTube channel. And I still got it to today. But I got on there and wasn't much happening, you know, because I didn't have a clue what I was green as a cucumber. So I'm thinking, well, I must not have nothing anybody wants to hear. Well, somebody says, well, you need to get on Instagram. I said, well, I thought Instagram was just Facebook for young people. I didn't know I'd been on Facebook. They said, no, you go. Well, I'm the oldest person I've seen on there except that one old billionaire that you see cusses all the time in that suit, you know. I don't know who he is, but everybody else is younger than me. But anyway, I got on there and everybody me. Sir?
Talking about the $1 billion man?
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. Yeah.
Daniel Pena, something like that. Yeah. The $1 billion man. He made billionaires, so I can't say nothing bad about him.
No, he just the only one I've seen on here older than me. But you know, so I got on Instagram and it's kind of took off, and you know, and I like it. I mean, I'm having a good time with it. Keeps me busy. I've tried to scale back my workload a little bit. You know, I tell folks, I used to tell my semi-retired I'd cut back to 10-hour days, but now I'm down to about 6 with a good hour lunch break.
Nothing wrong with that. You got to do what you got to do, so that makes sense.
But I love working. I never plan to retire, you know. I mean, it's all about loving what you do. I mean, why, you know, I hear these guys say, oh, man, when I get 40 or 45, I'm gonna quit and just go do this. You know, if you build a business up and you really love this and thrive on this like a drug, you can't walk away from it.
Never.
I hope the day I die, I turned the deal. Or if I didn't turn the deal, at least maybe I collected some rent that day.
One or the other. Something.
That's right. As long as something was happening.
That's right. We taking action. There ain't nothing wrong with that. So the people that's watching here live, make sure if you do have a question, drop it in here. We're going to try to get to a couple of them here. We want to be respectful of the time of everything here, Rick. And all they keep asking, what's the handle? Real Estate Old School on Instagram and everywhere, really, right? Real Estate Old School.
Same way on YouTube.
So you make it easy. That's how I do. Chris Monroe STL everywhere. So people can say, well, I don't know where to find you. I don't know this. I don't know that. Well, I don't know what else to tell you. I made it easy.
Hey, I made him on TikTok now. It's R-E.
Oh,
Let me tell you, I got to tell you this one. When I first got on Instagram, my little granddaughter, you know, she was 14 at the time, and mine started taking off. She says, tell them, go follow me. I said, you get your own. And so when I told them I was going to get on TikTok, you know, because Gary V's always talking about TikTok, and I didn't know who Gary V was a year ago. So I get on there, and I actually got one of my TikToks that's probably going to hit 30,000 views here in the next few days.
What?
Most of them not that high, but I got several of them 10,000, 11.
Wait a minute. You telling me you going viral on TikTok now?
I got 1,000 or something followers and about 6,000 views, almost 6,000. And I guess I've been on there, I don't know, 2-3 weeks.
Dang, you done went on there and got TikTok famous on them. That's crazy.
Before that, I tell you what they call them trolls. They something I'm on there try to get on your butt, though, boy.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a big old boy. I'll get back at him.
They be hiding behind a fake logo and everything. You don't know who you talking to, but they are talking smack.
You know, I had one of them said today, he said, boy, Uncle Sanders has let himself go at it. And I said, Uncle Sanders ain't never looked this good. Or Colonel Sanders, I mean.
Wow, Colonel Sanders, yeah.
But I had one of them I was talking about. I'd been dealing with rentals for going on since 1981. And one old guy says, well, looks like you've been going to the Golden Corral for about 30 years.
Wow.
Just stuff like that. I mean, but it don't bother me. I'm thinking, you know, it's just, you know. And then I said, well, that's probably somebody 24 years old living in his mom and daddy's basement and ain't doing nothing. Ain't got nothing better to do. I'm secure what I do.
That's right. You built for this stuff. If you're an entrepreneur, you got to have some thick skin. You can't just say one little thing and tip you off and throw you off your game and make you all, you know, just craziness. Can't do that.
Well, I did a video the other day called I Got a Bone to Pick with some of y'all.
Uh-oh.
But today, and it's pretty good, you know, it kind of ticked me off that day. Well, I had kind of the same thing happen this morning, last night. So I did another one called You Got to Have Skin Like a Rhinoceros for This Business. But I was talking about how, you know, everybody wants this instant gratification. And, you know, I had one guy started following me and he says, go and share me on your storyline so I can get some followers. And, you know, I was going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Sorry about that.
No
Siri picked up something. So I went and looked and he had about 3 things on there. And I'm thinking, first of all, I wouldn't recommend a carpenter, a plumber, or electrician, somebody I didn't know their work. I'm not going to take my loyal followers that trust when I recommend somebody and send them somewhere by somebody I don't know. Well, he just got ticked and unfollowed me. And I said, well, hell, you just unfollowed me. I don't care. And I let him know, I said, and I DM'd him, you know, I said, if you're going to do this business, you better learn that, you know, if you're going to deal with tenants and people buying your flips, if you're in the flipping business and, you know, bankers, you better get tougher than that. I had one of them he was upset because he just started following me. And I always say, if you go and watch my videos, you know, you can tell when people watch them. I spend a little more time with them. It's hard because my time's limited. And, you know, I'm getting where I get a lot of DMs. But this one guy just started following me. I hadn't even watched the video. And then he went in and asked me all this stuff, yada, 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 how you doing, yada. And finally, I told him, I didn't even see that part of it. Then this morning when I was checking my DMs, I saw that. But by this time, he's done said, well, how are you supposed to grow a network and people won't answer you and blah, blah, blah. And he says, I just unfollowed. And I'm thinking, well, just unfollow me. I'm thinking,
They'll provide some value.
yeah, it's a two-way street.
Exactly.
But that's, I think, and I went on to say, this business is a time game. The rental property, you buy it and you try to get a cash flow and you keep paying it. You put it on what I call autopilot. So, you just put it off to the side, you work and do what you're doing, make your living. One day you're going to turn around, that property's paid for, making you a lot of money.
You're definitely right about that. I saw something today on Instagram that said, don't wait to buy real estate and wait. I said, oh, that's tight. I like that.
Well, people say, when's the best time to buy real estate? The best time to buy it when you can buy it.
Exactly.
I see these people saying, well, they're waiting for the next recession. What if it doesn't happen? I mean, it wasn't the end of the world. You buy it, you find a piece of property. Now, I preach it's always got to be a deal. And also, something else I preach is 15-year mortgages over 30. A lot of people want to argue with me on here, but hey, I've lived it, How old are you, Chris?
I'm only in my 30s. When you was just getting real estate, I was just being born.
Okay, but let's say you're 30 years old. You buy a house, you put on 30-year mortgage. You're going to be 60 years old. Now, if you buy a deal and let that come into play and you set it up on 15 years, and you can look, usually on a 15-year mortgage, your interest rate's better. When you're getting a better interest rate, your cash flow is not going to be as much, but you're not living off that cash flow. I mean, if you got enough of them, you can. But would you rather be 60 years old and it paid for, or would you rather be 45?
Probably that 45 be a little bit better.
And it flies before you know it. And instead of making, and it may cost you, I even one of my videos, I show the difference in the amount. I tell them I don't plan ahead on none of my videos. I sit down and make one as whatever's on my mind. But that day I actually had ran 2 amortization schedules. Even used the same interest rate. I didn't even give it the break for the interest rate. And I showed them how much different it was, But see, so many people, and I understand if you're in California, New York, some of these places, it might be hard to make something cash flow, but
yeah,
I just like them. It works for me, and I do everything I do right here in my town. I don't go out of my county.
Right. I was going to ask you about that too. So you only do real estate investing in your town. You don't mess around doing virtual and all that stuff.
If I can make my living here, what I want to do, I mean, I can get in my truck and go look at everything I got in less than 30 minutes. Like
most of them.
Pick a piece of property if I want to look at it. And that's counting traffic,
Dang. I know that's right. Let me see what we got here. I see we got a couple of questions over here. Let's see here. Okay.
Tell them don't ask how the gym's going. That's something somebody else asked me on TikTok. How's the gym going? I said, hell, do I look like I go to the gym?
To the gym. All right. So we got Bruce Johnson over here on YouTube says, hello, guys. And Rick, how do you manage so much at one time?
Well, Bruce, we get good systems in place. I still approve every application just because if somebody messes up, it'll be me. But I have an office manager that, you hear people say, well, if you're managing your own stuff, you could be making that money doing something else. Well, my office manager is my bookkeeper. She answers the phone. She does all those things and helps me manage the property. I have my son works with us. He kind of heads out in the fields with the flipping and seeing the inspections on the rental properties are done and whatever. And I have a full-time maintenance man. And I've got another guy that's kind of in a sub. He used to be an employee years ago, but I've kept him busy every day for 5 years now. So, but we have a full-time maintenance man, and we just have the 2 employees, that and the office manager, and then my son and myself.
So it sounds like his teamwork makes the dream work.
Get good systems in place, and it's not as bad as you would think. I like the way we do it. We have a 24-hour answering service, and every 3rd week, I'm on call 1 week, my son's on call 1 week, and then my office manager. Well, that you think of that many houses, you get a lot of calls. You might get a weekend, you get 2 or 3. Most of them is just handling them on the phone call. The biggest thing, most of the stuff will wait to Monday, or the next day. But if you get something they want, you just call the plumber. And they go out there and, maybe it's a main sewer stopped up or something,
The same old stuff, right?
Always a little work involved. They always talk about this passive income. Even if somebody else is managing your property, excuse me, you've got to pay that payment. You've got to get your insurance. And so you have a heating and cooling unit go. They don't have that kind of money out of your stuff to handle. They're going to call you and they're going to say, how you want to handle this? Well, you got to come up with the money. Tell me what's passive about all that.
You sure right about that. Jalu over here on Periscope says, let's see, they did students. Okay, they're talking about the student thing earlier. Let me see here. Here's the question though. I cannot do a 1031 exchange because I really wanted another property. Am I going to get hit? Oh, I guess that was part of a two-part question. Let's see here. I did students, but I looked for junior, senior, and I had a Section 8 tenant for 10 years. I don't know if that goes with that. I cannot do a 1031 because I really wanted another property. Am I going to get hit? I guess they went past the 1031 exchange time frame or something, I guess.
Probably what he's talking about sounds like, but when you're making money, you're making money. Even if you had to pay taxes, you're still making money.
Pay the cost.
You got to rent. I always tell folks when you buy a piece of rental property, it needs to stand on its own that day. Don't lie to yourself. I did a video about that. They don't lie to you. I got videos about anything you want on here, just about. All you got to do is scroll to the left to the IGTV stories, and I'll have folks ask a question. I just send them the video now. I don't even try to. It's there. Go look at them.
That's right.
Anyway, you make sure it stands on its own that day. Don't count on appreciation. I see too many people buying property now counting on appreciation to keep it working. If it works today, more than likely it'll work if there's a recession, whatever. Because, that's what happened. Like, people were getting adjustable mortgages, counting on appreciation, going to refinance, get a fixed rate. Well, the recession hit, and a lot of them are talking about like their personal homes, the value left in the houses, and they couldn't refinance. All of a sudden, the house was worth less than it was because they were counting appreciation. You make it stand on its own, and then the rest of it just be gravy. You've got tax advantages, you've got all the write-offs. When you buy one rental house, you're in business. You buy a shovel, you're buying it for your rental house. You buy a hammer, it's for your rental house. That's a business expense. Everything's for your rental house.
Everything. That's right. You got it right there. That's the name of the game right there. Be a business. Let's see here. Mr. Smartbucks. Hello, Mr. Smartbucks. How much do he look for per door, or do he just look for a good cap rate?
Okay. Well, you don't really talk as much about cap rate in single family like they do in multifamily, because, multifamily, you'll buy it, and, if you can increase the value, the rents and stuff, that, it kind of changes. But in a house, you look at the bank, I'm going to call it, you go to the bank, it's still a commercial loan, and it's commercial, even though it's a residential house. But they're going to look at what your rent is, basically, what you can rent it for. And they got their, the criteria they look at. But what changes when I first started, if you was making $50 a door, you was doing good. Nowadays, I like to make $300-400, a door over the rent, But I had a video, VHS video one time. That's how we used to learn back in the day. You get guys put out a video or whatever, or they'd have infomercials. I used to record them just to motivate me, go to sleep, listen to old Dave Deodato and some of them guys. But anyway, this guy said I can't remember his name. I think it was something Kaufman. But he said, how many negative $50 a month can you stand? And this is back in the 80s. But then he said, how many positive 50 can you stand? So, you got to keep positive cash flow. Whatever you're doing, you got to find that point that's comfortable for you. A lot of people use the 40% rule, if, you take 40, you want 40% of what the rent is above the rent, not counting the rent. And that's, and they look at that, it's good cash flow. I like to just see I clear $200-300 so a month. And, when you get a certain amount, this is one thing that being on Instagram has helped me, is maybe go back and look at how I do things, why I do them. Because after a while, after so many years, It's just old shoe. I mean, it's like, it's just an everyday thing. So you don't really think anything about it. You're going to buy a piece of property. You're going to go to the bank. Bank's going to loan you X amount of dollars. You're going to rent it. You're going to cover the payment, have some in reserve. And it's just whatever makes you comfortable, whatever your comfort zone is.
I know that's right. Do what makes sense to you. That's smart. That's smart. And they were asking, what was your Instagram and YouTube again? Was Real Estate Old School. Real Estate Old School. Go check them out.
Real old, in other words, school. Real Estate Old School and stocks, REO.
You done got another follower on your TikTok, John Lewis.
Thank you, John. Go and follow me on Instagram, where I tell them even on TikTok. And before Instagram came out before I knew about the IGTV, I had a hard time because I got such a southern drawl. It's hard to get it all in 1 minute for me.
You got at least 10 minutes on it or 15 minutes.
Yeah,
really.
so now I got Instagram, IGTV, I do some long ones sometimes. If you see me sit down with my cigar, it's going to be a long one usually. I do 8, 10 minutes, 7 minutes.
That's right. Brother says, I'm too old for a 30-year mortgage. That's right. Don't get in no way. All right. D. Howard says, hello, Rick. Do you do your own evictions?
We do. And from state to state, eviction laws are different. In Alabama, we had to serve them a 7-day notice. And then after that 7 days, it goes to the court. Well, let me back up. If you're an LLC, corporation, anything like that, you have to hire an attorney when you I can send the letter out myself, first 7-day letter. Then it goes to the attorney. I turn over to the attorney. He fills out all the paperwork, gives it to the courts, and then it moves as fast as the courts can move it. They'll have the deputy sheriff go out and serve another notice, and then it goes to court. And when the judge says they're gone, you go and what we do, there'll be a deputy. You have to schedule it with the sheriff's department, and the deputy, they have somebody meet you. So, for your safety, they don't do anything but stand there and watch you. I'll take my men, a couple of guys, and we go out there and we
clear them out
on the curb. You can't fool with it, do anything, and you'd be surprised how many people act like they didn't know nothing was going on. People just think it's going to go well. But let me say this, I won't rent. I don't want to evict people. I've only evicted one person in the last 4 years. That's, a lot of rentals. We got one in the process now. And I think I made a video about it the other day. This particular person, I tried to work with her. I said, look, if you pay me X amount of dollars a week and let's get you caught up, that's all you got to do. For the first week, she did good. Second week, third week. First thing you know, it didn't come in. In 2 weeks, it didn't come in. So I had to go ahead and turn it over. Now we're waiting on the sheriff, for the courts to rule now, which, we'll get it. But she called my office. She says, well, how does he, and he being me, think I can pay that much rent? Well, he being me says if you'd been paying it like you're supposed to, it wouldn't be that much.
They would worry about Christmas. They won't go shopping.
Hey, man, you bet. When you're in the rental business, right before Christmas,
I felt it.
Right after Christmas, you better stay on top of it.
They will miss a payment and be like, oh, time for some baby.
Comes ahead, which I want everybody to get that thing. But I got to feed my folks, buy my kids and grandkids stuff. It's a business. I have some people say, I don't think I could evict anybody. So let me tell you, if they're not paying your rent, they're stealing from you. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
That's your business. Just like if you had a grocery store and they come in and stole stuff, they're living in your house. That's your business. And if they're not paying, they're stealing from you.
Exactly what they're doing. All right. Pandora Johnston says, I enjoyed the live and the info given. Thanks, Pandora. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Nina Garner figured out of all that what you said, just buy real estate.
That's it. Buy it and rent it.
Buy it and rent it. All right. Lena, good to see you as well. Let's see here. I'm creative and those Airbnbs is cash flowing. Do you do Airbnb or short-term rental too?
I don't. Now, here in my town, they have what they call game day rentals, which is basically the same thing. And I hadn't did any of that. I don't even do any leases less than a year. Because, you got to, of course, I know that's a different thing. But like if you have people come, well, I just need to rent a house for 4 months or 6 months. I'm having a house built or whatever. You got the same wear and tear when I don't care how good they're when they're moving furniture in and moving furniture out and they're living there. You got to re-clean it. You got to do all that. So I don't do less than a year lease. And if I get a tenant, I get at least 2 years out of it. I'm happy. But most of I got tenants been me 12 years. And I do a 15-year loan. So I tell you right there who's paid for it.
I think I just made a mistake, Rick. I just agreed today to do somebody for 9 months.
Is that right?
But it's a lease option, and they're going to put $4,000 down on a house I got no money in. So, I mean, I guess it's
right. Well, it works. I mean, it's all about, I have some houses that I sell people and I finance them, do what we call in Alabama bond for titles, or wrap is what it is. They used to have another name. I'd hear people call it installment, maybe loan. I don't know, but they pay me, I pay the bank. And my loans are all 15 years and theirs on 30. And I have a balloon in it, But my rate's higher. My rate will be 8%, and I'm paying a lower rate. So I'm getting the spread on the interest rate. I'm getting the money to pay down. And my loan's 15 years and theirs 30. So, and I used to do them at two years. I got one guy, I think we're going into year number 8. He's never refinanced, and he got behind a couple of times. And I work and see. People don't realize if you skip a payment, just like the bank, and say your payment's $850 and maybe all that's interest set for $100, and you go back and you figure out how many days it's been since they made the last payment. You figure that interest rate, like if it's been 45 days, you take what that interest rate is on the balance of their mortgage. You do it times 300, you'll get the amount. Say if it's 8% times their balance, you divide that by 365. If they're 45 days behind, you got 45 days of interest rate of interest at that rate. A lot of times they go in negative cash flow. Same way the bank does it. So they may miss one payment and end up being $100 owed more than they had.
Just from being
make money.
Ain't nothing.
I may not explain that real good, but you know what I'm talking about.
They'll watch it on the replay. They always do.
If I need to recap it, I can.
Okay. Let's see. What state is he investing in? Alabama, right?
Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I don't go out of my county.
You down there by my guy, Real Estate Diddy. They down there doing a lot of business in Alabama.
Is that right?
Doing a lot of deals. They're all over Alabama. I know they in your town too. Got to be, because they do all over Alabama. I
mainly do in 2 cities, Tuscaloosa and Northport, Alabama. There, a river separates them, And that's where I do business.
All right. Thanks, Rich, for showing your experience. And you, Chris, blessed many times over. All right, Rick. So I know you said you had an event coming up. Tell us about that one more time. And also,
well, if you want to know more about it, you can contact the original Real Estate Ballers. That's Fox. He's out of New York. He's on Instagram, and he's putting it on. And it's going to be April the 18th. It's going to be limited to like 40 people. And we've already got a room booked. Actually, we booked the hotels in New Jersey, which is like where this is. It's I can't remember the name now, but it's like 20 minutes out of the city, So just because you do one in Manhattan, the room's going to cost you 3 or 4 times as much. And
wow.
So this is, it's close enough, but it's close enough that we're going to spend 2 or 3 days, because I've never been to New York. So I told my wife when I started this, I had no reason to do it, just wanted to help people. I said, this thing may work out now. We get some paid vacations, because they talking about wanting me to come to LA and Washington, D.C. and, it's kind of getting
all business trips.
That's right. In fact, this week, I picked the papers up today. I set me up a real estate old school LLC.
Look at you. Dang, you done got them all.
I believe in, I have 4 other LLCs and 1 S Corp or C Corp, S Corp. Anyway, Inc.
Right.
But only reason it's that way, I had a partner that I bought out years ago that his accountant said, you got to realize accountants are going, well, let me tell you like this. If you're doing a job, you're remodeling a house, you go to the plumbing store, buy plumbing fixture, the plumber's going to tell you it's most important. The plumbing fixture place, the electrical place is going to tell you it's the light fixtures. Well, when you go to your accountant, they're going to tell you what saves you the most taxes. That's their job. But a lot of times that LLC gives you a lot more protection, in my opinion, at least, here in my state. So sometimes you got to look at that. So this particular partner, he wanted an ink. We did an ink, and then I bought him out, and then now I'm stuck with it because an ink or an LLC is like a living, breathing person. You have to treat it that way. So if I was to sell that property or transfer it out of that ink to an LLC, I'd end up paying a bunch of taxes.
Mm-hmm. You're right. So you got to dodge that because they say taxes is your largest expense.
That's it.
That's right. That's right. All right. I did want to ask you too, what do you plan on doing for 2020 here? Do you have some goals for this year or going into the future? What do you plan to do?
We're really concentrate. We do about 10 flips a year. I kind of set a goal for 20 this year just because all these young people doing so much stuff, it fires me up. I probably shouldn't have said that because I show, my mind, I get to thinking I'm just as young as they are when I hear them because I love it. So, but I come home in the afternoon, I realize, it's kind of like when I got out of building, folks said, don't you miss building? I said, well, I do sometimes, but I get in that recliner and it'll pass.
That's right.
But my goals are to keep doing what we're doing. We're going, if it's a deal, some weeks I tell my son we're not buying any more rentals. I mean, we're just going to concentrate on flipping. Then somebody call me about a good deal and we go buy it, So we're going to continue buying. And I'm buying rentals now and hopefully I got another 15 years in me. But if I don't, I'm buying for my kids, grandkids, and, people say, what's your exit strategy? I don't plan to sell. Sometimes my accountant, who's also my nephew, he'll say, son, you ought to just sell all that, cash out, and put the money in the bank. But, I enjoyed buying the property. I enjoy doing the business. And I'm building generational wealth. I mean, I live good. It's just, we're going to keep doing it. Just keep on doing what we're doing.
Keep on rolling, keep on trucking. Would you only invest in Alabama or do you do stuff? Would you invest in other markets at all?
I don't see it happening. I would go, if I got up with somebody that I felt good about, would be the money partner and deal with somebody another. I probably should say that now, folks be DMing, but I'm not looking to do that at this point. I like doing my own stuff. I don't have partners except my son. And, it's just, why go out of town when you do it right here, And I didn't get to tell you this in 2011, right after the recession, we had a really it was a bad tornado in Tuscaloosa. I had 26 houses totaled in a commercial building. I had like a $2 million insurance claim. Now I was insured, but it took a while. You dealt with the insurance companies almost 3 years. So it's going to be hard days, and you just have to keep doing what you do.
That's right. You got to make it through. That makes sense. All right, Rick, look like we've been on here a little bit over an hour. Anything you want to give closing out? Any advice for people that's trying to get in this game? People that feel like they too old to do it. Oh, no, it's too much technology. It's too much riffraff. What do you say to these people that need to get on in this game and stop playing around?
You need to get rid of all the doubt. If you want to do it, do it. I mean, you're never too old to make money. You just got to keep doing it and if you don't try. I know I've got a video called, the fear of failure, and on my Instagram, and my fear was my grandparents was poor, my parents was poor. I didn't want to be poor. So I'd rather grow old, know I tried and failed as never tried at all. And so you turn that fear into a motivator and let it motivate you.
That's right. That's right. Make it motivate you, because the procrastination is the killer of all dreams. All right, Rick, I want to say thank you for coming out and sharing some of your wisdom and knowledge to the people, because I know we always got these questions and stuff come up all the time. And like you said, they can follow you on Real Estate Old School on YouTube, Real Estate Old School on Instagram, Real Estate Old School on TikTok.
RE Old School on TikTok.
RE. Oh, they
wouldn't let you put it all in the title.
Oh, okay. I thought they stole your name, like they be trying to jack mine sometime. But all right, Rick, I appreciate you.
Man, I thank you for having me on, and I really enjoyed it.
All right, cool. That'll work. So let's see here. So that's how we do it, you all. So make sure if this video provided you any type of value, you learned anything, even by accident, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. If you're watching it on YouTube, subscribe, bang that bell to be notified, because we got some good shows coming up for you in the coming weeks. So the one we just finished there, like I said, that was with Real Estate Old School Rick Jarman. There's how you spell his name and everything. Real Estate Old School is where you'll find him on the social media. Like I said, we'll be on in a couple of weeks here with Byron Holman on March 2nd. Make sure you're ready for that. We're going to be talking about getting that paperwork right, because if your paperwork is wrong, you're going to mess up bad in this game. Also, next Monday, February 10th, 7 o'clock Central, we're going to be talking to the Sprules, Mr. Terrell and Alex Spruill, the father and son team, killing the real estate game together. We're going to talk about some of the deals they've been doing and some of the things and trials and tribulations and things they've overcome in this business of real estate. And also, if you haven't already, text JV to 31996. That'll get you notified for when we go live. And it also will give you the free joint venture or JV agreement. Cost you no money. Just text JV to 31996. Use it with wholesalers, use it with real estate agents, use it with other investors. And if you're looking for contracts, cool gear, or coaching, all of that can be found at wokerealestate.com. Let's see what we got here. Thanks everybody for coming in. Let's say here, did you have sales experience? Most definitely. You better have some sales experience. So I guess that was for Rick. He'll come back. And if you're watching the replay, post in the comments anyway. You can still put in the comments a question, and we'll try to get it answered if you just missed the live stream. But I want to say thanks to everybody that came out. So I'm about to get up out of here and do some more woke stuff. So do what you do. Be who you be. And I'll see you before you see me.
And we have. And we have. And we have. Mr. I stay. Whoa.